Welcome to part 5 with our study on the internet. As we get on the internet, we tend to establish many different accounts. One of the most common is working with social networks such as Facebook or many others. Meanwhile, there is a growing trend of shopping on the web. And even I take advantage of many discounts and savings that are available. And in this process, it is necessary to set up an account for each individual site that we deal with. And the goal is your password is your security to all your personal information while dealing with these individual sites. There are some ground rules that you need to be aware of to make the best possible passwords possible that others will not be able to decipher them. There are some tricks to be known, and there are basic rules you need to go by if you're going to have an effective password. I imagine, to put this attitude mild, this is the time to imagine yourself to be a secret agent of some sort, that you're going to have the most difficult password that can be imagined to be able to gain access to your individual account. Remember, this will not be able to be a part of normal discussion, but you need to be able to remember it. We meet many friends in our lifetime, and as they get to know us, they get to know who our families are, who our other friends are, who are whatever applies to our lifestyle. They know a lot about you that as a friend that you trust, you can feel safe about. But we really don't know everybody we meet. And the more people that knows more about you, the more others can learn of you. So as far as your security in the password is, you don't want to use your name. You don't want to use your friend's name. You don't want to use your child or grandchildren's or anybody attached to your family. You do want to keep it as private as possible. As people gets to know you, why, they'll be able to realize that you have pets. So you don't want to use your pet's name. You don't want to use something that is common for anybody to know. There are programs on the web that will tend to use every word in the dictionary to try to figure out a password. And in minutes, with these free programs of availability, they will be able to figure out a password. So a good tip here is to misspell a word or two, and be able to even, you might even want to spell a word backwards, that it doesn't make any sense. As a continuation on this thought, you don't want to use a practical name, a historic site that you might favor, or anything like it. But you do want to use letters and numbers together, and some places will even allow you to use special extended characters. Numbers can be used with a lot of associations in your life, and one thing that is very hard on that, you really don't want to use any birthdays for anybody in your family, your grandparents, or anybody, or even with your spouse. You do not want to use something that is common, that as people get to know you, they will be able to figure out what a password would be. Now, this is a hard one to realize. This tip here is not to write it down anywhere. If you write it down anywhere and that is lost, then you're dependent on something that is written down that people can get a hold of. And if you use a different password on different websites, which you should do, you will have a lot of passwords to remember. There are tricks to get around this, but writing them down and having them handy where a piece of paper can be dropped or eavesdropped or anything will make it available to anybody who has strange eyes. Now, one thing to really take into account is that you really need to have your password changed on a regular basis. If you don't change it within a few months, you know, you're open to somebody being able to find it out, and you'll not be able to have a secure password anymore. However, there are some tricks that we can learn to do to compensate for this. Take note that in the workplace, passwords are changed all the time. They might be changed on a monthly basis or even on a daily basis in some cases, especially with the government. So passwords being changed is not only a good practice, but many agencies and businesses do require it as a matter of routine. Access to a network is also often changed, might even be on a daily basis, or some way that it's not going to be able to be traced on a regular basis. So if any information leaks out, they are covered because it's no longer good to use. While you can use most characters on the keyboard, please take note on this presentation at the special characters that are not to be used. And the reason is because they have special meaning as we use it in programming and being able to do searches and everything. So we don't want to use these special characters. Now, extended characters are okay, like I said, and I use them where they're allowed. And this way, nobody would be able to figure my password and suspect that it could be an extended character. As mentioned before, I told you that there are programs where people can use a dictionary program to be able to figure out what passwords might be with all words in it, and if you misspell your word, it won't be in the dictionary. If you do use a word or two that is not in the common dictionary that somebody would be using, then that would be a good possibility. Even the use of a foreign language might be helpful that people are not familiar with about you. Now, also take notice that the software that is available on the web is free to download if you find out where it's at. And I have never searched it. I have no kind of interest to be able to look up somebody's password. I have helped people make their passwords, but I do not use them and I do not record them. So you're on your own on this, and this is the strength of your ability to have good security on the web. You need to be assured of where you're putting your personal information is a good site. I have downloaded a program that will tell me what is secure and what is unsecure, what is valid and what is not valid, and I really like that addition onto my web page as I do my searches. However, we all do get email. The email that you might get will be inviting you to come to their website and participate with their program. In that process, they might ask for special information, and although that they are representing something you think is legitimate, might not be. And when you get this from your email, there is false sites that might send you to something that it might be called phishing. Phishing is where somebody will ask you to verify information on your account, for example with the bank, and you go there and you go and fill in the information they ask for and think you're dealing with the bank. Be aware that banks do not send out email like this. If they have a question about your account, they'll contact you otherwise. This is called phishing, and phishing will put you on false sites that are not intended. And now we would like to make aware that when you use your browser, a collection of cookies are used to record what you're visiting on the web. If somebody gets into your computer, or if they install some spyware, what is called spyware, to your computer, why they'll be able to know what your habits are and what you're susceptible to. Also, it might be useful information for them to sell you as part of their mailing list to other companies and make big money on this. This is also a big thing going on the web. As a friendly reminder, I'd like to refer to the Tools menu and delete browsing history in there. And take notice it takes you into the display to remove a lot of things in there. And in the list is cookies, and that is your history of what you've been doing on the web. It contains a lot of information about your account so that you don't have to put it in over and over again. Also, the history of what sites you've been to will suggest what kind of sites you do visit. And if you remove your passwords in the history, you also will have to re-enter them again. So it is a very useful thing to be aware of the removal of such information on a regular basis. This concludes our series with Unit 12 on our study for Windows XP. The current version right now currently is Windows 7, and although there are many things in there that are done differently, it still has the same basics built in. And you need to be aware of everything on the web that we discussed. This portion, this last portion, I feel is one of the most important things to be aware of. You can be lost on many things, but don't have people be able to trace your passwords, which is your best security. There's a lot of information to learn on the web. It continues to grow daily. However, do it safely and be able to reap many blessings from it. Thank you for continuing with this series. And please remember, this when you view these on the web, it does not constitute for attendance at the class for a free computer. If you are interested in a free computer, you can contact us at the First Church of the Brethren in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And they do have a website for their church to be able to contact the director of community ministries, and there's a lot of things that they have to offer. So thank you for being with me.